Hi guys, so Richard Tice was on Sky News on Sunday for some reason. Remember, this is a party of 4 MPs compared to the Liberal Democrats who have over 70. Anyway, he was on to defend his party's policy on immigration, how they would stop the boats. And when he was challenged, he got a bit tetchy about it. Have a listen to this.
You want to stop illegal immigrants landing in the first place. You've talked about deploying the Royal Navy. What would sailors' orders be? Would it be that they should sink small boats if they didn't turn back?
I think you might be suffering a little bit of August sunstroke, Trevor. Of course we're not saying sink boats. Get a grip.
Get a grip. Telling the journalist to get a grip. When your policy is we're going to turn back boats. We're going to stop the boats from crossing the English Channel. So how would that actually work?
What's the point of putting the Royal Navy out there?
The point of putting the Royal Navy out there is to act as a deterrent alongside our deportation policy, which will deter people from coming. Because everybody will know, if they land on these shores, they will be detained, they will be rapidly processed, and they will be deported.
This is very interesting. Most deterrents work because the deterrer is going to do what he or she says they're going to do.
And so if
you put the Royal Navy out there, what are they? Are they just interested observers?
Yes.
Hanging about?
In a sense, that's what the
Why
Border
are you
Force
wasting the Navy's time?
That's what the Border Force are currently there for. But they're acting as a taxi service.
Well, why are you...
Okay, so you're saying that you want to use the Royal Navy to deter people from crossing the Channel, and then when you're asked, okay, how are they going to work? And then you're saying, well, they're going to be like Border Force. And then you go on to criticize Border Force. So you're saying we need the Royal Navy to act like Border Force, but we don't like Border Force. Okay, this is the Reform UK plan in a nutshell. We're going to, instead of using Border Force, which we have criticised, we're going to use the Royal Navy, and the Royal Navy are going to do pretty much the same job as Border Force. So what's the point of that?
Are you wasting the Navy's time just out there having a look?
Assuming we're right, and we think we are, that our policy of deportations and detaining and deporting works within...
So if our policy works, it will work. What? That's not how policies work. You don't assume that the policy will work and then implement it. No, you actually have to have evidence that it will work. See, the problem is, like the Conservatives assumed, I don't know if they actually assumed this, but we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. They assumed that, well, if we tell people we will send them to Rwanda, they will stop crossing the Channel. It didn't work. They said, we'll create this deterrent of Rwanda. As soon as people arrive, they'll be put on a plane and sent to this African nation. We'll assume that this will work. No, you actually have to present evidence that it will work. You have to have a proper plan in place, understand all the possible problems with it, and then put it in place and invest money in it. Instead, what the Conservatives did when it came to Rwanda was they put the money in first and then said, okay, well, we'll sort it out as we go along. This seems to be exactly the same approach with Reform UK.
Weeks, the incentive to come here will finish.
So it doesn't matter whether it's Royal Navy out there or not.
Therefore, we enjoy the success that Australia had some 12 years ago when they had a pushback policy, and guess what?
But you're not answering my question. What is the point of putting the Royal Navy in the Channel if they are not going to take aggressive actions against the small boats?
It's all part
any action.
It's all part of deterrence. And do you know what you do? Just like in business, you make a decision, you try something. If it works, you keep pursuing it. If it's not working, you tweak, you adapt, you adjust. That's how you work in business, and that's how governments should run. And you try a variety of measures. We've put forward very clear plans. That's why we're leading in the polls, because people clearly understand if you're here illegally, you're going to be detained and deported. If you come here illegally on small boats, you're going to be detained and you're going to be deported.
Okay, well, it's not a plan. You're relying, once again, like the Labour Party were able to win a massive majority because people were not happy with the Tories. And the reason why Reform are doing so well in the polls is because people are not happy with the incumbent government. Your plan doesn't make any sense. You're saying what we're going to do is we're going to send the Royal Navy into the English Channel. I've mentioned before you'd need thousands of ships, not even hundreds of ships, if you really wanted to stop the boats this way. But you've even said yourself, they're not actually going to push back the boats. They're going to operate as observers. And then after you say, well, we'll act like Australia. But Australia is a completely different situation, and the numbers of small boats that were stopped in Australia was tiny compared to what's crossing the English Channel. Completely different situations as well. What Nigel Farage is presenting doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't have to. He doesn't actually have to have a real plan for two reasons. First of all, it's not going to be properly scrutinised by the media, because it seems the media want to see Nigel Farage become Prime Minister. And second, his support base just love the idea of punishing asylum seekers. We don't like asylum seekers, let's punish them whatever way we can. And if Nigel Farage is talking about exiting from international conventions or ripping up British people's rights or protections to their rights, that's fine. As long as we're punishing asylum seekers, that's all we need to see. And this is the idea of the Reform UK base. They're not interested in the detail, they're interested in the vision. And the vision is, we don't like foreigners coming into the country, we need to punish them. And who's going to punish them? Nigel Farage's Reform UK. And as long as they're not receiving significant scrutiny by the media, then they're fine. Once again, as I said at the beginning, you have a party of 4 MPs getting more airtime than the Liberal Democrats, who have over 70. I think in part because Nigel Farage drives traffic to websites, he's good for clicks and likes, but this is not how you do politics. They need to be grilled, they need to be given the airtime they deserve, and they have to be held to account. Otherwise, Nigel Farage is going to march right into number 10, and the questions the media will ask the day after is, how the heck did this happen? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.